What is up, human debris? I am just a simple Newtype, and in this episode we are returning to the post-Calamity universe as we begin our coverage of Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, Steel Moon. This seems to be happening during the events of Season 1 of Iron-Blooded Orphans. In this manga we follow Argy as he seeks revenge for the death of his family. He gets involved with the Warren family and their disgraced Gundam frame, and one organization fights from within. So let's get into this. This manga starts with a boy named Argy, who makes his escape while his family is all slaughtered by the Gundam. 5 years later, Avalanche 5 Resort Colony. An older Argy is taking on assassin contracts now. He infiltrates the mansion of Ted Morugatan, also known as Daddy Ted. He is a part of the organization Tanto Tempo, managing trade routes around the moon. Before Argy could shoot him, an explosion goes off. The mobile workers that were guarding the mansion are attacked by a mobile suit. Remember, mobile suit workers can operate in cities and colonies because they are powered by hydrogen fuel cells. Mobile suits, on the other hand, use AHAB reactors and mess with communications. That colony probably lost its internet for the whole day. This wasn't a part of Argy's plan, and Ted could see right through him. A guy comes in and yells, "Daddy, we need to evacuate. Keep your daddy fetishes out of my Gundam." Argy puts a knife to the young man's throat. This is Vocal Warren. A mobile suit bursts into the building. Argy refuses to die until he kills the Gundam that killed his family. As Ted runs away, the mobile suit fires and causes him to go flying. He is done for. Argy asks if he has a mobile worker he could use. He tells Vocal to let the boy pilot it. He says his name is Argy Mirage. Ted says, "Kid, I'm dying. I don't need new information in these final moments." Vocal takes him to Gundam Astaroth. The ASW G-29 Gundam Astaroth is one of the 72 Gundam frames built during the Calamity War. This mobile suit, originally owned by the Warren family associated with Galahorn, eventually fell into the hands of Daddy Ted. Argy can use the neural connection through his prosthetic arm. This unit focuses on close to medium range. It has light armor but is more mobile than Barbados. Astaroth has a flight form that allows it to glide and is built into the shoulder. Weapons include a 150mm shotgun, a sledgehammer, and a gamma nanolaminate sword. Volko explains how he can connect his arm. He says it's nowhere near as good as the Alea Vignana system, but it will get the job done. He launches and engages instantly with a mobile suit. It is the Triana. The MPM02AC Triana is based on the Hyakuten. However, its armor is reduced for operating under gravity. This unit is designed for assassinations and hit-and-run mission. It has enhanced sensors. Weapons include the Minyago knife, a 130mm assault rifle, which is also used by Amida's Hyakuten. Astaroth only has the knife equipped currently. He still has to get adjusted to the mobile suit. He bobs and weaves and tries to take off the Triana's hat. It totally is a hat. I think that's where the extra sensors are stored, but that's totally a hat. He then uses the demolition knife and takes out the mobile suit. In his dying words, Ted tells Volko to look after his daughter, Lyarina. Argy wants to tag along to help. Volko is hesitant at first, but Argy says he wants the power of the Gundam to take down the Gundam that took his family. He allows him to tag along. Argy thinks of his sister while eating a nutrient bar. He tries to help Volko, but he doesn't want him to get in the way. On a shuttle heading from the Dork colonies to the Avalanche colonies is Lyarina Morugatan, daughter of Ted. I guess she could say daddy, technically. Everyone else, though. She learns of her father's death. Earlier, she got a call from Volko. She tells her about the incident and suggests that she hide in the Dork colonies. She ignored this advice. That is when mobile suits approach. They demand that Lyarina is handed over. The two are Sampo and Yu Hana. They are both human debris. They both pilot the Hyakuri Rodi. The UGY-R41H Hyakuri Rodi is a modified man Rodi that Sampo and Yu Hana found around Mars. The heads are replaced and the cockpits do not have the Alea Vignana system like the Brewer's mobile suit. These units are mainly used for close combat. Weapons include the chopper, which is a hatchet, an axe hammer, a 90mm submachine gun for short range, and hand grenades. Lyarina turns herself in. That is when the Hyakuri Rodi is attacked. Volko analyzes the Rodi frames, while Argy moves in and Astaroth. The two siblings can't analyze the Gundam, so they think it is expensive and want to steal it. They seem to be trying to buy their freedom. The two Rodis capture Argy in a pincer move. Sampo uses the axe hammer and swings it towards Argy. The Gundam dodges and ends up hitting Yu Hana. He is conflicted because he just killed Sampo's sister, and Argy too is seeking vengeance for his sister. But then he says, nah, I gotta kill the Gundam, so you gotta die. While the two fight, it seems that Yuhana is still alive. Argy tells the two to just get out of here. They get Lyurina to safety. Then she cries over the realization of her father's death. She blames Argy for this. He was originally there to kill him anyways. On a transport ship, Gianmarco Salerno summons Sampo. He hears they messed up his last job, so they took Yuhana. He could see her again if he behaves. He reminds them that they are just human debris without their mobile suits. Volko seems injured. If he wasn't, he wouldn't need Argy. Lyurina wants to seek revenge for her father, but Volko tells her they're supposed to protect her. He says that 3 of them aren't enough, but she wants to see Buvolio and Sina. They head to the Avalanche colony under 3. It is a food depot colony, and not too many people reside here. Most of it is automated. Buvolio used to be Ted's advisor up until a few years ago. Argy worked through an intermediary, so he doesn't know exactly who hired him to assassinate Ted. He says that it was his first hit job. He doesn't want to kill, but once he heard that the Gundam frame was involved, he took the job. Lyurina slaps him and tells him to live his life to the fullest since her dad died for him. He pushes her and pulls a gun, but he is just protecting them from someone approaching. This is Nanao Nauralina. She takes them to meet with Buvolio. He knows of their situation and knows exactly who attacked them, because it was a Rhodey frame that attacked. It definitely came from Gianmarco Salerno. He is a part of Tanto Tempo's board of directors and the head of Tanto Tempo's transportation system. He has been in opposition with Ted since the beginning. Ted gave a lot of money to Gallahorn to look the other way, but Gianmarco thought this was a waste of money. The board of directors of Tanto Tempo are broken up into 2 factions, those in support of Gianmarco and those in support of Rosario Leone. Buvolio wants Lyurina to give support to Leone so she could be protected from Gianmarco. They are suddenly attacked by a Labris. The UGY R41T2C Labris is a customized Rhodey frame used by the Gianmarco faction. This unit is designed to protect VIPs and act as security. It has thicker armor than the Man Rhodey, and its head has additional sensors. Even with more armor, this is lighter than the Man Rhodey and can be used for ground and space use. It is equipped with the Hammer Chopper, a 90mm submachine gun, and 2 hand grenades. Grazes attack the Labris. Argy wants to go out in the Astaroth. Buvolio says to take Mommy Nanao with them. That's right, we're biased. We're pro-Mommy. They head out in the shuttle. Labris and Grazes pursue them. Gallahorn ships are also converging. Volko looks out to see the Callisto. The STH-14 T2C Callisto is a customized Hyakuri owned by Gianmarco. The backpack is replaced with a thruster. It also has shoulder-mounted thrusters for high mobility. Its main weapon is the variable blade shield. This was originally intended for Astaroth, but when attached to Callisto, it makes for a great close combat unit. It also has an optional quadruple rocket launcher. Volko tells Argy to shut up and get into Astaroth. If they launch, Gallahorn will be all over them. But Volko doesn't care. He seems to know about the mobile suit. Argy launches while the ship continues on. He has 312 seconds before they won't be able to catch up with the shuttle. Callisto rushes in while Argy tries to get some distance. Argy pries open Callisto before it decides to retreat. He makes his way back to the ship. After returning, Volko promised he would explain everything to Argy. He is a Warren, formerly a Gallahorn royal family. The Audit Bureau said their family was embezzling a lot of money. This was 10 years before the first season, so it isn't McGillis in control of the Audit Bureau. The Warrens were in charge of allocating resources of the Avalanche colonies. His father denied it. Even though it's a Gundam, the aristocrats wouldn't want a disgraced unit, so it was put on the black market. He doesn't really want to restore the honor of the Warren family. But Lyurina says that Ted was certain that Volko's father is innocent, although there really is no evidence. Argy asks about the scar on his head. He wonders if he did the memory chip surgery. He is a nepo baby with no real skills. Of course he got the memory chip surgery. Lyurina says these two get along quite well. They head to Avalanche 3 and meet with Leone. While they are speaking to Leone, Argy notices a suspicious man and goes after him. The man is dressed like a mechanic. He is stopped by Argy. They pull a gun on one another. It happens to be Sampo. He says he is glad he caught him alone. It wasn't Gianmarco that hired him to kill Lyurina. It was Leone. Lyurina wants to talk to Gianmarco alone, but Leone doesn't let him. She could tell what's up. He says screw it and takes Volko and Lyurina captive. Of course, Mommy Naina was in on this. No, Mommy, why? One of Rosario Leone's men shoots Volko in the kneecap and foot. We got a 2-for-1. Leone is going to force her to put this all on Gianmarco. Astaroth approaches them, giving Volko and Lyurina the opportunity to bail. They get into the Astaroth. Argy gets the bullets out of Volko. Sampo tells Lyurina that he was hired to kill her father by Leone, and now he is hired by Gianmarco. to help her. She doesn't trust him. They can't go back to the spaceport because Gjallarhorn is there. Sampo and Volko steal a shuttle, while Lyurina gets into Astaroth with Argy. As they head out, they are approached by a Gundam. Volko calls this mobile suit also Astaroth. It is the Renacimiento, the ASW G29 Gundam Astaroth. Renacimiento was a mobile suit built off of Astaroth, which was stolen and used around the Jupiter sphere. This is equipped with a large subknuckle, a new shield arm, and a weapon known as the Bastard Chopper. Volko will eventually do a refit on this mobile suit. Other weapons include a short knife, a rifle, and a demolition knife. It also has the neural connection. The two Astaroths fight. Volko and the shuttle are hit. Their fuel tank was destroyed and are sitting ducks. That is when a ship and some mobile suits come to help them out. It happens to be Gianmarco. Before beginning, we made a few mistakes last video. The specs for the Astaroth we discussed last time were actually for Astaroth Origin, not this Astaroth. Also, Astaroth Renacimiento was actually Gundam Voile. The ASW G47 Gundam Voile has no armor when it was found. This Gundam is piloted by Vile Klassen. It has a high power backpack and leg boosters, giving it high mobility and improved flight range. This unit will be given shields to cover its armor, and eventually get the armor from Gundam Astaroth Origin. Weapons include a glaive, a mining hammer, a 210mm anti-material rifle, a Spartan shield, and a spike shield. The ASW G29 Gundam Astaroth is one of the 72 Gundam frames used during the Calamity War. This was in control of the Warren family before falling in the hands of Daddy Ted. It was restored with a mix of original parts and parts from mobile suits, including the Spinneroti. It also has the booster armor on the waist, which helps its attitude control, as Astaroth has a bad center of gravity. Weapons include a knife, a rifle, a demolition knife, a 210mm anti-material rifle, and a Panzerfaust. It will also equip the same subknuckles used by the Hyakurin. This unit used to have a special energy transmission mechanism, but was lost to time. Avalanche 1, Vile Klassen is meeting with Rosario Leone, the pilot of Gundam Voile. Vile is playing coy for a few pages, but we learn that he is the one responsible for what happened to Volko's dad and the Warren family. The boys are in the brig, even though Gianmarco saved them. Sampo is being fed and has a bed, so he's content. This human debris is just happy he isn't on a leash, I guess. He also says Gianmarco is probably going to try to bad touch Lyurina. Lyurina is summoned by Gianmarco, who finds him without a shirt on. She wants to know how Daddy Ted died. He tells her that Rosario Leone conspired against him with Gjallarhorn to take funds from Tempo Tempo. Leone can't become the head of the company. She needs Gianmarco's help. She even offers her body. But he is not interested and is satisfied with his position within the company. Becoming the president means more enemies in life, and he doesn't want that. He does, however, suggest that Lyurina be the one who becomes the next president. Meanwhile, Gianmarco wants to have a duel against Gundam Astaroth. They are allowing the gang to use his hangar for any repairs and upgrades. Yuhana tells Argy that Gianmarco never lost a duel before. Lyurina thanks Argy for accepting the duel, but he doesn't want her thanks. She then says that she will never forgive him for what happened with her father. You are killing it with this conversation. During the Calamity War, the fight caused not only the moon to have its own asteroid belt, but also there's a giant chunk of the moon about 1 kilometer in diameter floating in lunar orbit. They call these lunar drops. This is where Argy and Gianmarco will have their battle. Gianmarco shows himself in his Regal Lily, the IBO 6 T2C. Regal Lily is piloted by Gianmarco Salerno. This unit is a Graze that was captured by Tekadon and purchased by Tewaz, which was then resold to Gianmarco. It has new legs that help with the center of gravity when using the Bellows Axe. The axe looks like a serpent's tail and uses centrifugal force to deliver an immense force. Other weapons include the 110mm rifle used by the Hyakuri. Gianmarco boasts at the fact that he has an eclectic mobile suit and loadout from around the Earth sphere. But Volko can tell that it is ultimately a Graze underneath. Argy won't lose this battle because he has to avenge his family. They begin their duel. Volko wonders if he should stop this fight, but Lyurina is apathetic and doesn't care if he dies. The two clash with one another, and they end up in a stalemate. That's it. That's apparently the end of the battle. The next chapter, we cut back to everyone heading back to Avalanche 5, where Daddy Ted died. Volko tells Argy that if he runs into that Gundam again, then take it down. Argy can't look Lyurina in the eye. She says that if she becomes president, she will hire Argy as her bodyguard. She might be able to help him find who killed his parents. The team splits up. A shuttle with Volko, Yuhana, and Lyurina are grazed by a beam blast. It is Gundam Voal. Argy and Sampo and his roadie are approached by not only Leon, but also Nanao and an Adler. The Adler shares many parts with the Greys, but it is 1.5 times its size. It is believed that this mobile suit uses the Grey's frame, but other than that, there isn't too much information about its origin. Weapons include a 120mm rifle, a battle blade, and an anti-mobile suit claw in the forearm. She guards the ship while he fights. He shoots Sampo first and calls him useless human debris. He then clashes with Gundam Astaroth. Volko learns that this is a Gundam frame and informs Argy they are equal in strength. He attacks the Gundam rifle, and he pulls out his hammer, attacking Astaroth. It causes a giant explosion, but Astaroth comes out of the smoke. The Gundam was able to use the nose cone as reactive armor, which is why Argy is still alive. He stole Gundam Voal's hammer. Argy rushes in to pierce through Leon, but he stops. He tells him that he will have to pay for his injustices. La Urina is now in charge. Leon can't handle these terms. That is when Nanao and the Adler comes in. She says she has a new boss that paid more, and she tears Leon in half. This manga is clunky as hell. What happens next is La Urina assumes control of Tempo Tempo. 1 week later, La Urina visits her father's grave. Now that she is president, she has an uphill battle. Kudelia recently gave her speech in the Dork colonies. Now, many working in the Avalanche colonies are going to follow suit. At the hangar, someone steals Astaroth Gundam. They think it is Nanao. Volko and Argy must get it back. We cut to the future. It has been a year and a half since Argy became La Urina's bodyguard. They are at the Dork colonies. 3 hours earlier, La Urina is meeting with Gallahorn regarding trade routes in between the Moon and Mars. Gallahorn is trying to strong-arm them into allowing them to work with other companies like Tewas alongside their deal. But this isn't a good deal for Tempo Tempo, so they decline. Gallahorn seemed to have wanted this outcome. La Urina is still being treated with disrespect. While they are driving, someone runs into the middle of the road and are hit. As they check to see if the person is alright, 2 men try to take her away. Argy doesn't allow it, and he fights the G-men. After that, a woman comes over yelling Mina, and then dropkicks Argy. He then wakes up hours later. La Urina calls him useless. With them is Kim and Mina Cerulean. Argy wonders why they were being chased. Kim says, "Have you seen these tits?" They detect Ahab waves approaching. Labbers are approaching as well, along with a Gundam. It is Gundam Dantalion. The ASW G71 Gundam Dantalion is the second to last Gundam made during the Calamity War. This used data based off of the earlier Gundam frames. This is designed to handle all combat situations. The Gundam is under the care of the Zaunfurt family, even to this day. The T-Booster / Half-Cal T makes this unit great for hit-and-run attacks. The Booster B / Half-Cal B seems to be for defenses and strengthens its lower body. This unit has different forms. The naked form has superior agility and light armor. The full booster form is when it equips the T and B boosters. The full Cal form equips the Half-Cal T and B, and the perfect Cal form, which is the Half-Cal T and B with the extra chest armor. Weapons include a 100mm bayonet rifle, which doubles as a sword, a Bident, a smoothbore gun, the Aegis, which is a pair of autocannons, and a gigantic arm. Volko recognizes the Gundam. He tells Argy this may be the Gundam that he is looking for. Argy launches an Elabris. He is clearly outmaneuvered in this mobile suit. Argy throws some hand grenades and distracts the Gundam. He is able to get in close, but the Gundam slices off his left arm. They want the 2 sisters. The pilot says his name is Zaza Fossil. More mobile suits approach. It is a squad of Greys Statules. The IBO 6N Greys Statule is a customized Greys used by Oluris. It has better attitude control than the original Greys, and is equipped with better shock absorbers. This engages in discrete attacks. Weapons include the Greys 120mm rifle, and a stun stick, which disables joints and sensors. Volko tells Argy to get back to the ship. He throws a grenade and bails. Volko wonders why Gallahorn is attacking them. More Ahab waves are detected. It is John Marco in Gundam Astaroth. He finally found the stolen mobile suit somewhere in the Jupiter sphere. He comes in and takes care of the Grazes. Gundam Dantalion decides to retreat. La Urina has to be careful now that Gallahorn is trying to impose their authority. Volko tries to figure out what the deal is with Mina and Kim. Kim doesn't really tell him anything, but we will learn that Mina is a part of a royal family. While talking to Argy, Mina thanks both him and La Urina for their help. They get a red alert. It is Dantalion once again approaching. This new Astaroth loadout is actually the Astaroth Renacimento that we talked about last time. Both Gundams are of equal power. He asks the pilot if he is the one that killed his family. but he thinks he is talking about a different situation. Meanwhile, on the ship, Mina has been kidnapped. What happened? It happens to be Sampo and Johanna. They don't reveal who their client is. They also don't seem to realize they are stealing from people they know. Meanwhile, Astaroth and Dantalion work together to fight against Gjallarhorn's mobile suits. The pilot says they were allies, but not anymore. In the distance is another mobile suit. It is Old-Linde. Old-Linde? Old-Lin. We will break down this mobile suit next time, but it is piloted by a man named Jizzle Jizzin. Jizzle Jizzin. Jizzle Jizzin. Are you listening? Johanna and Sampo are in a bar worrying about their next meal when a man named Zaza Fossil offers them a job. They took the job because it pays in a currency called Miria, rather than Gjallarhorn's currency. We cut back to the twins kidnapping Mina. They are regretting taking this job. The two run into Volko Warren. However, both run into Gjallarhorn, who begin firing. The two work together against Gjallarhorn in exchange for Mina. A shuttle is leaving the Dork colonies. On board is Silt Zanfort, head of the Zanfort family. He meets with Gundam Voile pilot Vile Klassen. They seem to have met before. He mentions that his daughter was killed during the Dort riots and was here to handle her affairs. He seems to be in a temporary position with the Audit Bureau. Vile informs him that someone else is in possession of Gundam Dantalion. The only way that could happen is if it happened from the inside, suggesting Silt himself. He tells the Zanforts to be careful and not end up like the Nadira family. The Aryan Rod fleet are coming to assess the situation. Meanwhile, Argy is fighting Jizen in the Old-Linde. The V-03-0907 Old-Linde uses one of 9 Valkyria frames built during the Calamity War. This unit is designed specifically to use a Dane sleeve. The shield binder also functions to detect Ahab waves. This has the Dane sleeve removed. Instead, it uses a Valkyria double blade. This uses rare metals and are 2 swords created from the firing mechanism of a Dane sleeve. This is its only weapon and focuses on short-range combat. He says to Argy that the Valkyria frame can keep up with the Gundam frames in battle. Argy is bickering with Zaza, and he still doesn't work well with the team. Also, Argy and Zaza look exactly the same, and it's so confusing. Argy focuses and gets back to protect the ship. He tries to contact Volko on the comms, but gets no response. Volko finally responds, telling Argy to handle business. This gives him the motivation, and he continues fighting the Old-Linde. The Renacimento uses the shield arm and the bastard chopper to attack the mobile suits. Jizen suddenly surrenders. Volko tells Argy the Gjallarhorn soldiers have surrendered and the Aryan Rod fleet has fled. Mina is safe, but the human debris twins fled in confusion. Gianmarco is too excited to interrogate a man named Jizen Jizzle. The prisoner with the gross name tells them that the girl they have is Mina Zanfort, of the Zanfort royal family. He thinks that they were kidnapping the 2 sisters, but they are just harboring them from safety. Jizen has proof that Mina is alive and wants to prove the innocence of the Nadira family. Gianmarco doesn't understand what he is talking about, but we as the reader just stumbled onto an old-fashioned Gjallarhorn cover-up. Jizen met Volko when he was a kid. He understands that he is a part of the Nadira family and Gjallarhorn. He tells the team that there is an internal security unit that has been controlled by the Nadira family for generations. It's like internal affairs, but with more corruption. Essentially the opposite of the Audit Bureau. It is called Olorus. Ever since the incident with Isnaria at the end of Season 1 of IBO, they have been cracking down on fraud. Volko knows that the Nadiras were working with the African Union. The head of the family was arrested, but the son got away. This is Dira Nadira. Mina happens to be his fiancée. Jizen ultimately has Mina's best interests and doesn't seem like a threat. Kim Cerulean still thinks of Mina as a sister, even though they aren't blood related. While they are talking, a woman is on the comms looking for Volko and Argy. She says her name is Nanao. It's the woman who stole the Gundam. They demand to know where the parts went. She refuses to answer anything regarding the Gundam. She has better news for them. She knows the location of Dira Nadira. They make their way towards the civilian spaceport, Utland 2. Nanao shoves her titties right in Argy's face. In order to find Dira Nadira, they have to head to Earth. We flash back to 5 days earlier. The gang doesn't trust the girl. She wants to talk to Dira because she knows him best. Gianmarco kept it conveniently hidden that Gundam Dantalion has been in the hands of the Zanfort family for generations. Layarina wants to get to the bottom of this. Suddenly she gets a message saying that she knows what caused the Avalanche shuttle to explode 10 years ago, referring to Argy's family. Once the team makes it to Earth, Nanao gives them the location of Dira, which is in an island near South Africa. Mina asks Argy if he has siblings. He says mine died 10 years ago. Mina thinks I should talk to my sister. Kim was on the run and only met Mina about a month ago. Everything regarding the Zanfort family doesn't really matter to her. While the 2 sisters have a moment, The alarms go off. Grazes are airdropping down onto their location, which seems to be the Arctic. Argy launches an Astaroth Renacimento. He is ready for an attack from above, but never expected an attack from below. It happens to be Gundam Grimoire. The ASW G56 Gundam Grimoire is operated by the Nadira family. The upper half of the unit is covered in nanolaminate coat, which is stronger than nanolaminate armor. This has far superior shock absorption and vastly increases defenses. The Gundam's head is covered in a nanolaminate coated hood. This is great for solo and recon missions. The only weapon is a battle anchor, which is a two-bladed anchor, but one end of the blade was destroyed during the Calamity War and was never fixed because nanolaminate coat technology has been lost to time. This affects the balance of the machine. The pilot of the Gundam rages and says that Mina is dead. Argy tries to calm him down, but he is on the defensive. He can't pierce through the nanolaminate coat. He whips out the bastard chopper. Remember, the bastard chopper utilizes a Dainsleif-style firing mechanism, but with gunpowder instead of a weapon of mass destruction. Mina shows herself to prove that she is alive. The pilot gets out of the Gundam. It is Dira Nadira. The two are reunited. The Zamfort family was helping feed families in Africa, and then set up the Nadiras to take the fall, and did so by throwing Mina under the bus. She could testify at the expense of her father, which seems to be the bad guy. Why is she trying to protect him? They get an LCS from Gianmarco. La Urina was kidnapped by Zaza Fossil. He wants Mina in exchange for her. A lot of people getting kidnapped off page. Zaza has a creepy fancy dinner with La Urina. He pretended to have intel only to capture her in exchange for the Zamfort daughter. He mentions that he is Mina's real sibling. His real name is Zadil Zamfort. Nanao is also helping Zaza. Jizn meets with Vile and tells him that Mina is still alive. After their meeting, a car accidentally kills Jizn conveniently, getting rid of any evidence. Dira Nadira tells Argy to watch over Mina and bails on her. Volko informs the team that Jizn just died and he was last seen with Vile. Vile used to work with the Warren family. Mina wants to go to the exchange as she assumes the kidnapper is her brother. Gianmarco says that reinforcements are ready. That's vague. He's setting up a surprise for later. They head out to the meeting place. Mina tells her brother that her dad tried to kill her because he is afraid she would talk. He doesn't believe her, but entrusts her to Argy. Everyone's really putting too much faith in Argy. I'm not seeing enough redemption. Zaza gives back La Urina to the gang without needing to give back Mina. La Urina says to Argy, Gundam Sele. That is the name of the Gundam that killed his family. Suddenly, Ahab waves are detected. Gray's satchels approach. They are attacked by something in the distance. It registers as an ally. It is Sampo in Gundam Voile Yuhana. This was the surprise Gianmarco was talking about. The ASW G47 Gundam Voile Yuhana is Gundam Voile stripped of its parts and added to Sampo's Hakuri Rodi. It is named after Sampo's sister, Yuhana. Weapons include a chainsaw, a sword, the chopper hatchet, which can be combined with the sword to create a halberd, a 210mm anti-material rifle, and a spike shield. The two work together to take down a few grazes, and the rest retreat. Gianmarco informs La Urina that they locked down a meeting with Galahorn regarding shipping routes. Zaza, in a Galahorn uniform, now going by his real name, meets with his father. He admits that he tried to kill Mina and tells his son to get in line and play ball if he knows what's good for him. He is too afraid to go above his father. 1 week later, La Urina heads to the Dort colonies for negotiations. Their best options forward is to sacrifice Mina, unfortunately. Yuhana and Sampo interrupt Argy while he is eating. He doesn't like them because sometimes they are on his side, sometimes they are not. It's confusing to him. La Urina is keeping a cool composure, but she is losing it. Argy wants to know how he could help. Kiss her, bro. Volko tells the two that they can make contact with Silt. He demands they hand over Mina. She agrees. Psych. She agrees to hand over Mina Cerulean. I got you on a technicality, sucker. Silt responds with grazes and the Dantalion equipped with the half-cal T. It is Zaza. Argy and Sampo launch as well. Argy and Zaza clash. He says, no, my sister is definitely dead. My daddy said so. Their shuttle isn't going to be able to handle Silt's half-beat class ship. Argy tries to draw the Dantalion towards the Dort colony. Dantalion fires, but they are very close to the colony and that is dangerous. Zaza is like the opposite of Tekadon. Family for him is about blindly following orders at the expense of everything else. Argy says okay and fires the demolition knife into Dantalion. He doesn't hit the cockpit, however. He wanted to save Mina from losing her brother. The Aryan Rod fleet comes in and takes Gundam Astaroth. The attack outside of Dort 5 signaled the Aryan Rod fleet, which then investigated and found Silt guilty of fraud. Argy is still a Galahorn prisoner. La Urina is now doing negotiations with Dira Nadira, who took over the Zamfort family's duties. Dira is now dressed as a girl. Dira was a girl this whole time, which means dear Nadira and Mina had an arranged lesbian marriage this whole time. That's rare. They will release Argy in a few days. When released, Volkl tells Argy that Mina officially perished like her father claimed. Unofficially, they have been left in the hands of Tampo Tempo and Kim Cerulean. What happened to Zaza though? Zaza said to watch after his sister for him, so that is exactly what he's going to do. He welcomes Mina to the team. Hey, what about the revenge for your family? Never mind, we're done. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphan Steel Moon. This manga was very clunky, and there was very little effort put into these characters. The pacing of this run is incredibly fast-paced and feels like it was trimmed down from something bigger. I don't know. Does this help expand the post-Calamity universe at all? It was kinda cool to see the royal families outside of the 7 stars, but other than that, I don't feel like I know this world any better. There is a manga adaptation of the anime Iron-Blooded Orphans, but besides that, there isn't too much from this universe. Let me know where we should go next in terms of AUs. But that will do it for now, Human Debris. Remember, sometimes your dad is a liar. Peace.